wanted to ask you to start by just telling us a little bit about first the organization itself, and then we're going to go a little bit into your own background.
Okay, well, the International Human Rights Art Festival is, we're only about a little more than 4 years old. But we are an organization that basically opens a space for artists around the world and creators around the world to tell their own stories concerning an advocacy issue or concern, social or political concern, human rights, social justice, in their own words. And by doing this, we hope to open a space for some genuine conversation about what's important, but also in many parts of the world, this kind of work is very dangerous. We don't have that sense in the United States, but I work with poets and creators and musicians, theater people who are literally hunted by the state. Their families can be threatened, they can have their lives threatened. We've worked with artists who have collaborators who have been killed in prison. So we have a secondary desire to support them. Often international transparency does help protect them. And then at the same time, open a space where politicians and government workers and social leaders of good faith can join this, be attracted by the creativity and join this struggle for human rights and social justice. So it's a variety of goals, but it's all centered on using creativity to foster social resilience, human rights, and an understanding of the similarities that people around the world share, not only in their desire for these values, but also in their willingness often to struggle for them in their own voices.
Do you feel in your experience that there has been a shift and an increase in the vulnerability in recent times, or is this something that has always been there?
I think it's ongoing. I mean, we work with a man named Wei Jingsheng, who was in jail for 17 years in China in the 70s and 80s and into the 90s, because he had written sort of a written manifesto and posted it on a wall. He did something called the Democracy Wall Project. And I think if you look back through history, artists have not only always provided the conscience for society, certainly after, as we moved into the modern era where artists' individual voice became important, but the more they provide the conscience, the more often they also run into problems against authorities, because authorities have a very clear and specific vision of how they think things should be, and anybody that runs contrary to that is obviously considered a threat. So I don't think it has gotten worse. I think it's shifted around. Maybe Russia's worse now than it was 20 years ago. I don't know. I mean, but maybe not. Certainly there is what I've found, for instance, the United States, a lot of artists I work with are very upset that no one cares about their art and that everybody's indifferent to creativity. And I say, yeah, I mean, that's a double-edged sword. We're actually very fortunate. That is, believe it or not, representative of a more healthy society, because I work with artists where they do care. People do care about their art, and they get threatening texts from authorities, and they get threats to their family, and they're on the run in, Botswana from Zimbabwe, or I get an email from someone in Myanmar who says, please don't use my name, publish this anonymously. So I said, in a way, that indifference is representative of a more healthy society. And it's sad but true.
To describe your connection, with this term of resiliency, and how it applies to the art space.
Well, I think specifically we try to provide a sense of resiliency for these artists. So an artist in Uganda, for instance, we have worked with, is a poet. He wrote some work that was against the current president. This was before the last election. The authorities got light of it because we published it. They threatened him. They threatened his family. He escaped to Kenya and he was put in jail there. And then because of his relationship with us and that we had named him kind of one of our direct action recipients, he was released from prison. He was given a visa, and now he is fine and living outside of Uganda and being creative and doing his own work. So that resilience in that particular case that we were able to provide, just by the sense that We are a major international organization in terms of, if you see our website from Uganda. And that kind of transparency gives them a patina of validity, and that provides them with resilience. Now, we do other things. We publish their work. We sometimes give direct action grants. We put them in touch with other, organizations that might help them, like Pan America or other places to publish their work. So that's kind of all that international attention gives them personal resilience to continue in their struggle. And I think that is what's so vital. And that is really for the artists. That's what we provide. Now, we obviously have a strong portfolio for the audience, which is different. The audience doesn't need resilience; they need understanding, and they need an awareness, and they need to be able to hear these individual stories. But that specific resilience is often for the artist, that by providing them this forum, it gives them specific personal safety, but it also gives them a sense that what they're doing matters, and it increases their commitment to this work.